Hey everybody, MOmSA here. Um, I know this is a lot later than what I wanted to do when Ale, Nyaku, Farewell MOmSA took place. I know I made a little speech there, and I didn't quite expect to get as emotional as I did, but um, I definitely felt the love. I think is what did it to me. Having just so many people show up from so many different regions. Y'all really touched my heart with that. And I know I said during my speech that I would have a longer thank you coming to this community that welcomed me with open arms. I kind of thought this might be better just to record something, um, because I don't think anybody wants to read what would have probably amounted to uh, maybe 6, 7 pages of a Google document. So, and I just didn't feel that that was personal enough either, to the community that I hold so near and dear to my heart. I wanted it to be something a little more personal. I didn't want to do it as a live stream either, because I don't want to really use Dragon Squad's stream anymore. And even though you see all the Dragon Squad stuff, the reason why I'm recording it under Dragon Squad's Twitch is because thankfully we're an affiliate and I can just upload this recording to Dragon Squad's Twitch account. Whereas, the MOmSA Twitch account that I created 3 years ago and have used maybe 6 times, I'm not going to have that ability. I don't have the same status there. So that's why I chose to do it under Dragon Squad stuff. I felt it was also a little appropriate, because Dragon Squad was a big part of, MOmSA and who I am. So what I'll do first is I think I'll address Dragon Squad and where me stepping back from being a full-time TO kind of leaves Dragon Squad. It is not completely going away. I will tell you that. It was my baby. And it didn't grow into what I had hoped it would. I had this grandiose idea that, Dragon Squad was, going to be kind of like Luminosity is now with, all the, Luminosity makes moves Miami and, big moves in New York and everything. That was my grandiose idea when I came up with Dragon Squad. And unfortunately, because, I worked a full-time job on top of everything else that I did for the, community, it never got to where I wanted it to be. I made great connections along the way. But it didn't grow into what I wanted it to be. And that's okay. If I would have decided to step back sooner than the 5 years that I've been in the community, let's say I would have done it, a couple years into it, I probably would have been more disappointed, but I'm honestly not. I kind of like where Dragon Squad ended up. It's, been nice to, be a part of, some of the, bigger things that, regionals that happen in Ohio, to be involved with, cost and be like a sponsor of that, to give, that sponsorship kind of identity to SOS, to be, the organization that ran the, weeklies. Not that you guys needed that, don't misunderstand me with that. But I just felt like it grounded and evolved the scene. At least I hope it did in some way, shape, or form. But I think it. I think it left off in a good spot. I mean, Scoops is still around. I've had a conversation with them, and they're okay. Running the DSE tag at bigger events and whatnot. Dragon Squad, obviously there isn't going to be, a weekly stream any longer. The Twitch account will still be there. The Twitter account, I'm not going to get rid of that either. Because I really kind of want to, use Dragon Squad in a way to, almost kind of like be a promoter, for lack of a better way to describe it. And just, supporting, the Midwest scene in general. I can see Dragon Squad. Maybe I haven't made a decision about it one way or the other, but I know during Supernova I hopped on and was doing like a watch party and whatnot. Maybe I'll continue to do that. I mean, I did have a conversation with Cereza at the Farewell MOmSA Weekly, and I kind of ran that by him because he had asked, and I hadn't really given it a whole lot of thought, but I think one of the biggest things Cereza said to me that really stuck with me is, you're stepping away full time, and that full time part of it was so ingrained as far as it being Dragon Squad and whatnot. I mean, heck, even during COVID, when none of us could go anywhere, and I ran the open arenas every Friday night, and thank God for those. I mean, I just to have that online human interaction was much needed. I lived by myself. Nobody knew anything about it, so I wasn't gonna risk going and seeing my mom, or my kids didn't come. So it was really those online open arenas during COVID that helped me keep my sanity. And Dragon Squad's streaming the weeklies, doing the SOSs. We did Summit, and the way Cereza presented it to me was, to kind of go out there and just continue to be MOmSA and build the MOmSA brand, for lack of a better way to put it. And I think he gave some really great advice. I mean, I've had a lot of conversations and long conversations with Cereza, and and before I even finish that sentence, let me just preface it with saying that really everyone in this community that I've gotten to know over the 5 years that I've been around, I mean, y'all are really some terrific, intelligent young adults. I mean, and Cereza, gave me some sage advice when he said, don't, do watch parties from Dragon Squad. Just kind of really figure out what you want to do with it. If you want to get back into streaming, do it under MOmSA. Make a MOmSA brand. It's just like, I'm just me, I think that's one of the things that always blows me away, in all honesty, but I'll get to that in a different segment. So, yeah, I mean, also as far as Dragon Squad goes, I'm not going to give up on Ohio Summit. That literally took me 2 years to bring to fruition in 2024. So that's not something that, it's like a one and done. I have every full intention to, continue with the summits for as long as I want to, obviously. And then, should the time come that I don't want to, then, hopefully have it established, well enough that, somebody else can come in and take it over and continue it on. I definitely want to see SOS come back. That was hard this year. I'm not gonna lie. I had started thinking back in February if I wanted to continue doing this, and then that happened, and it's like whatever little bit of wind was, kind of keeping my ship slowly moving forward to want to continue and be a full-time TO. It came to a dead stop at that point. I know I shouldn't take it personally. I've been told by many, many people in the Cincy scene, don't take it personally. Unfortunately, that's not the personality type that I am, so I did take it personally. And yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it hurt. That there just wasn't the support for it that there had been the last couple of years. I know there was some, things that came up that didn't help, warehouse wars scheduled on top of us. Even though we were on the smash calendar first, there was no communication. And we can't compete with a $10,000 prize pot. I mean, good, for the organizers of Warehouse Wars. I just wish there would have been a little more communication where that was concerned. And it was really a scramble to even move the date for SOS 9 this year, because Sharonville Convention Center is absorbing so much of Duke Convention Center's events because of the construction that's now taking place down there. So, in the end, it was just, 25 people registered, we're 2 months out. It's like, knowing the money it costs to rent the Sharonville Convention Center, it just, it was a hard decision to cancel it. And in all honesty, I felt like I let Cadence down more than anything, and Marsh, because, I mean, Dragon Squad got lucky to, absorb in, and get SOS. I mean, it had been around, good grief, long before Dragon Squad yet was even, thought of. So yeah, I think that's another reason why I took it so personally is I just felt like I was letting down, the people that, created such a awesome regional for our area. But Cadence and I, talked that night, at AL Nyaku, and we definitely want to try and work on bringing SOS back in 2025. Dragon Squad will be a part of that. The big thing is we've got to find another venue for it. I can't personally pay for the venue in advance, and that's what the Sharonville Convention Center requires is, payment is made up front, and then, whatever we get through, the venue fees and so on and so forth, obviously offsets that cost. But I mean, even running SOS 8 there, Dragon Squad, it was a deficit. So yeah, I think that's probably what's going to be best for Dragon Squad is, keep Ohio Ultimate Summit going, stay involved with, SOS. And again, for as long as, I keep Dragon Squad around. I mean, I guess in some odd way, it's like, Dragon Squad is MOmSA and MOmSA is Dragon Squad, and so yeah, I think that's going to be the best course of action to do for Dragon Squad. I mean, I'm open to suggestions that anybody may have as far as, what other things Dragon Squad can do. I mean, some of the other things I've thought of for Dragon Squad, I mean, is, like I said, scoops. I told them they're not allowed out of their contract. There is no contract. They're my son, so they'll do what I tell them to do. Just kidding, son. Just kidding. But I've thought about, maybe, seeing, if, Dragon Squad can't, help, be a sponsor for, something outside of cost. Scrubbed Out does a lot of great things, over in Indiana. There's Kevlar and Dude and Razor down in Kentucky. I know Booker, he does a lot of great things in that part of the Midwest. So, I've considered, maybe, Dragon Squad being, one of the sponsors, not like the main sponsor, but how Luminosity will have so many sponsors for, all their big things, or Riptide had so many sponsors for, all their stuff. But, that's kind of floating around in the back of my mind as well. So, I mean, we'll see where that's concerned. But, so yeah, I mean, Ohio Ultimate Summit sticks around, SOS 9 sticks around with Dragon Squad. And, really other than that, I think that's where Dragon Squad is at, now. So, now let me transition over into, the real reason why I wanted to make this video. And again, it's like I stated it at the beginning. I don't think anybody wants to, read some, 6-page, 7-page, who knows, maybe 10-page document from old MOmSA. And I mean, maybe you guys won't even watch this video to the end, because any of you that know me know that, I can go on and on. But, let me start this part of the recording by saying, like I said at, Ao Nyaku, I mean, honestly, thank you all. Thank you so much for, allowing me, oh my God, I cannot possibly, with no audience, start getting emotional about this again. Maybe it would have been better if I would have typed it all up. But honestly, thank you all. The Cincy scene, to me, is the best scene in all of Ohio and in all of the Midwest. Now, I know I'm biased. I know I am. And I freely admit that. But, this all started out with me wanting to just, support Scoops. I needed something, an interest to share with Scoops. Because I had it with my oldest son. He played football, and I'm the crazy football mom. No shocker there, I'm sure. But Scoops and I didn't find that until, I got involved and, started going watching them when they were in high school, sometimes over at Miami University. And then from there, it just kind of grew. And, they really wanted to go to the Big House 7. So, I said, okay, fine, let's go. I was blown away the entire weekend and really happy I never told my kids you can't make money playing video games, because they probably would have said to me, I told you so. And that's where it all started for me. Was I just wanted to be there to support Scoops. And then that grew into, Dragon Squad and becoming a TO. And truly, the support over the last 5 years from not just the Cincy community, but as time went on, from everybody in Ohio and, people down in Kentucky, and, eventually got to know some people over in Indy as time went on. It just, it, it's been mind blowing to me. It never stopped blowing my mind. Honestly, I mean, because again, I'm just me. I'm nobody special. You know, nobody famous. Uh, I'm just me, and I treat people the way I would like to be treated. Um, but the love that I got back from, you know, putting myself out there and letting everybody know, at least I hope everybody knew, that you could come to old MOmSA for anything. And, you want a shoulder to cry on? Here. You want to talk my ear off about something? I've got two of them. You just need somebody to listen? I can do that too. You want to vent? Bring it on. It takes an awful lot to hurt my feelings. And that's just, who I am. And I hope, over the course of all the years that, I was, there week in and week out, then, people knew that. And, it's an amazing ride. I mean, I, I know not everybody, I don't get a chance to talk to everybody all the time, one on one. And not everybody knows where MOmSA came from. So just very quickly, Scoops wanted me to play doubles with them at Miami. I didn't have a gamer tag. This was shortly after we came back from Big House 7. Fell in love with MOmSA. Big Yoshi Story fan. Played the game through like 3 times, I think. So fell in love with MOmSA. He played Yoshi. Cade comes up with, how about MOmSA? Perfect. But what I didn't realize was how perfect that name was going to be. Because I hadn't, at that time I hadn't, made a decision that, hey, I can do this full time and be a TO and, dream up Dragon Squad and everything. And that didn't happen until, I think Cereza and I met at the Big House 8. And I think I started, some ramblings at that time that, hey, I could do this. Probably do it pretty good too. Because I'm like a super highly anal person. Sorry, I forgot to keep moving my mouse around. I'm used to being on a live stream, so it doesn't do that to me. But yeah, I had no idea when, Scoops gave me MOmSA, just how perfect it was. I mean, I take immense pride in being the mom of the entire state of Ohio. And I've, as time has gone on, I've, adopted children in Kentucky and Indiana and Michigan and, New York and Pennsylvania. But that gives me, I love it. Because I just hope everybody knows how much I honestly, truly do care about each and every one of you and just this community in general. There's just, I get speechless over it, really. and it, you know, I think when it kind of hit me, like really, really hit me, was when we finally, got to go back to majors, and Riptide, happened. And I hated it. I loved it because, hey, we were back at a major. Woohoo! But what I hated about it is we had to wear masks, which was fine. I don't care to wear a mask. That's not it. But the amount of MOmSA's at any given time in Kalahari in the weekend, like, overwhelmed me. I just was like, I'm me. I'm me. Just me. But it was such a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling. I mean, anytime I've gone to Riptide, it takes me, unless I'm like have a pool that I have to get to pool captain, it would be the only time I won't stop and like talk to somebody if they want to talk to me. But I can't move through Kalahari without being stopped. And it's mind-blowing to me that, these young adults want to talk to old MOmSA. I'm not that old, y'all. But still, I mean, who... It's fucking awesome. That's why I love this community so much. It just... I am so grateful that I was so warmly welcomed into your all's world. And you all have my respect for that. I honestly do. I just I've been so happy to be a part of it. I mean, just I can't remember which Riptide it was. I can't remember if it's the one where Scoops was in Luxembourg or not. Because in all honesty, the Riptides kind of run together for me. I'm not going to lie. But True Dingus was, playing, I can't remember if it's for top 64 or top 32. But anyway, it was like game 5. I can't even remember who he was playing, but I know Dingus would remember. And yes, I'm calling you True Dingus. You're not Fart Boy. You're not Skillzers 360. You will always be True Dingus. Period. And it was last stock, last hit, game 5. And Dingus won. And he hops up out of his seat, all excited, falls to his knees on the ground. And I can remember like getting down on my knees and like, put my hands on his shoulders and, lifting him up. And, we just hugged and hugged and hugged. And, he's very emotional about it. And he had every right to be. I really should have made notes throughout time when I did stuff so that I could remember exactly who True Dingus beat. Half the time, I can't even tell you who Scoops beats at like the Riptides or the big houses or anything that we've gone to. So, but that was so cool to be a part of that. And to see that, and these are memories that I have created with all of you that will last me the rest of my life. I mean, the conversations at the big houses that, Scoops and I'd run into Cereza and, so many others, sitting down at Shake Shack and, having these long conversations and, you know, or the time that, you know, Scoops was in Luxembourg and I still really wanted to go to the big house and, Cereza and I roomed together in a hotel and just, the long conversations, we would have, in the hotel room, even if we were like getting ready to go to bed or, maybe I was, getting ready to go to bed or I was going to head to the casino or something like that. And Cereza was going to head back, maybe to the venue or, maybe, go over to a gamer's room and, play Smash like you all do at the big tournaments and everything. There was another Riptide where I went around challenging everybody. Like, I think that was the time that, like, Cadence was up there and Sai and Sakura was still around. Or Sakurai, not Sakurai. Shit. Can't believe I forgot how to say his name. But they all roomed together and I was done, pool captaining for the day and, had dinner and decided, I'm going to grab my controller. Cadence had given me his room number and Kira and Miles had and whatnot. And I went to Kira and Miles's room first, and I can remember like the Buzz was sitting in there, and I challenged Miles to, a game of Smash or whatever. And I can remember leaning over to him at one time and kind of whispering, it's like, hey man, the Buzz is sitting back there. It's like, let me at least take like one or two stocks, and just people sitting like in their hot tub and, drinking and everything. And I, end up, popping down to, Cadence room and, doing the same thing. And, it's like, I knew I was bad at the game. All these years later, I'm still not that great at it. But I don't do it for the same reason you guys do. I don't, I mean, I would have to literally look on like Smash data, but I think I've gone 1-2 in my entire life. And that's literally, I think both times was because of DQs. I mean, I'll take it, but kind of ruined my whole O2 thing. But we're good with that. But yeah, like playing Cadence and, God, I can't remember how many people were in that room because there was always so many people in the rooms. And I can remember Sai coming back up and, he's getting another drink or whatever. And he's like, oh man, I just came back up from this parking lot party. And I can remember looking at him kind of, tapping him on the shoulder. And it's like, and you didn't come back up here and get old MOmSA? You didn't think I'd want to be a part of the parking lot party? And then walking, I don't know, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, thinking, Scoops is going to be asleep. So, trying to get in the, back into our room, real quiet and everything. And, we had one of the little hallways and I kind of like peek around the corner and, Scoops is still awake and everything. And I'm like, hey, and they look at me and they're like, are you drunk? And I'm like, I might be a little drunky. And they just laugh because it's probably like, I'm pretty sure it's like the first time ever, like Scoops had ever seen me drunk in their life because, when they were younger and whatnot. I mean, yeah, their birthday parties, we would drink and everything, but like, always kept it in control. We didn't, get drunk in front of my boys or anything like that. But they're just like, I'm going to tweet about this. I'm like, you better not tweet about this. Just those kinds of things, or even like, God, going back, the last Smash and Splash 5 at Kalahari in Wisconsin. I took Scoops and Luna and Tycho and Michael, and we all drove there, and you Smashers, like this was still back in my early days. Like it was tripping me out that there y'all are, with your, switches and you're playing in the back seat of the car and, playing Smash and everything. I'll never forget. We get into Wisconsin And there's, all these signs around for cheese and everything. And all of a sudden, Luna, she says back there, look, cheese, cheese, cheese. And I swear to God, after that, every single time we drove by any sign that had anything to do with cheese, then all four of them, Scoops, Tycho, Michael, Luna, cheese, cheese, cheese. And it was never not funny every fucking time they did it. And then we eat at the pizza bar. That became a whole thing in and of itself. And, oh my God, Smash and Splash 5. I wasn't a TO at that time, but I was about ready to tell him, give me them Swiss pools. I know I can do it better than you. I mean, people play until late. So that's the first time I ever ran into Mango and said hi to him. And like, as soon as he said hi to me, it's like, I could smell the alcohol in his drink. Oh my God. And then I don't remember who it was, but like somebody had got in touch with Scoops, and we had stayed and watched Top 8 at Smash and Splash 5, and they needed a room to sleep in. And it's like, at this point, there's me and Scoops sharing a bed, Tycho and Michael sharing a bed, Luna's sleeping on the fold out bed. And there was probably like 4 of them. And our room wasn't that big to begin with, because because y'all can't decide that you're going to go to a Smash thing, whether it be a weekly or a major, till, very late in the game. The rooms were sold out at Kalahari, so I found a hotel that literally was just like down the street. Not even down the street. It's like you pulled out of the parking lot and went down Kalahari Drive, or whatever they called it there in Wisconsin. But they needed a place to stay, so our room wasn't very big at the Marriott. And these 4 people come in our room, and they didn't care. Like, one of them had like pushed the ottoman, part of the, chair, and threw like their, sleeping bag as their pillow and laid that way. Some dude was, laying in between, the 2 beds and everything. And I was just like, and I was still kind of early into the scene, and I didn't know that, Smashers did that kind of thing. But that was a good time. I mean, the one and only that they had, but I'm pretty sure Smash and Splash is what Riptide, morphed into. But I mean, I mean, so many great memories. I mean, and it's all because of you guys. You accepted me into your, community. Let me be a part of it. And I'll forever be grateful for that. I mean, again, these are memories that are gonna, they'll last me a lifetime. Someday, many decades from now, when I'm, sitting in a nursing home, I'll be sitting there, you'll never believe what I did when I was this age, all these kids, and how much fun I had. And all them old kooks will probably look at me like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like, I'll be sorry about your luck that you missed out on it all. So thank you. I mean, thank you. I mean, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, just for letting me come into your community and accepting me and letting me care about you all, and, be there for you all if you needed me. It really means everything to me. And I wish I had, more words than just thank you for you guys, but I also want to make sure in this that I acknowledge a few people along the way with Dragon Squad in particular. Timbo, he was one of the first ones that I kind of reached out to because I realized very quickly that it was going to be in my best interest to join forces with Timbo instead of try to go against him. So, having Timbo around there in the beginning and just the information and knowledge that he had in the beginning there, I was invaluable for me. I mean, he really helped me get up to speed. We'd talk a couple times a month and everything because, of course, I came up with Dragon Squad and COVID hit. But, he, we did the whole, online Chronow things and so on and so forth. And, even though, Timbo didn't stick around that long before he, went off to pursue his master's degree, PhD, I'm sorry. I'd be remiss not to, mention Timbo, and also Mindset. Mindset was another one that I had reached out to fairly early on, and he had a wealth of knowledge as well, and was a great asset, to the team and whatnot. So thank you, Mindset, for everything that, I learned and, observed from watching you and having conversations with you. Can't forget my big guy Brain. What another great person to bring on to the team. I mean, just the way that Brain was able to level up Dragon Squad, honestly. Outside of myself, I don't think there's anybody else out there that quite has the gamer tag that matches like Brain does. The dude has got a big brain. And again, just the way that he leveled up Dragon Squad, and we were able to bring, a live stream to, the dead AL Mall and whatnot, and just everything that I learned from him in streaming. I mean, there's just so much more I know I could have learned from him. I mean, good God, the dude came up with a freaking quad stream for SOS 8. I mean, he's incredible, I mean, and I learned so much about streaming, from him, and he made it simple. I remember, he typed out this document and sent it to all of us because I didn't want Brain to be tied down to, well, every time we stream, you have to be there. That's not the way I wanted to do things to begin with. And it was so simple to follow. I still have it to this day. The big complicated setup that we used to have at the Dead Mall AL. I still have it to this day, and probably gonna need it sometime in the future because I'm not gonna have somebody of Brain's caliber to be there to do the streams for SOS. So I'm sure I'll rely on that. So thank you, Brain, for everything that you taught me where that's concerned. I can't not mention another great addition to the team, Cadence. He just, the things that I was capable of learning from him, because I didn't, like, seeding was always left up to Cadence and stuff like that because he'd been doing it for so long, and he was good at it. I cannot tell you, it took everything I had not to want to jump on Twitter when people wanted to start dogging the way that SOS 8 was seeded, and be like, you better step off, my dude, because it was pretty damn near as accurate could get for, you know, a tournament of that size. But then when, you know, knew that, you know, I needed to understand that, you know, Cadence just broke it down in such a way that made it simple for me to understand. And, you know, thankfully, you know, I got it to a certain degree. I mean, there were some hiccups along the way after, you know, Cadence left and wasn't, you know, there every Thursday because of different things going on in his life and whatnot. You know, where he couldn't be there to, you know, help me run the weekly anymore. So, but he made it so simple to learn. And the crazy part about it is I don't think that I could like explain it to somebody in the same way that Cadence explained it to me. And just all the knowledge he had, you know, from, you know, running the weeklies, you know, way before I even dreamt of coming in as a TO. And, you know, again, you know, letting SOS, you know, be, you know, absorbed into, you know, an Under the Dragon Squad umbrella. I mean, there's just, you know, not enough good things I can say about Cadence either. And then, you know, when Mindset stepped aside and whatnot, you know, I was looking for somebody to fill his void, so I brought in Deuster from, you know, Toledo area. And man, you want to talk about, you know, somebody else that just, you know, had so much knowledge and whatnot, just about the, you know, overall scene in general. But I tell you, I don't know what I would have done without Deuster. Especially when I broke my arm at Cost 2 years ago. Because after I gathered myself up outside and walked inside, and I knew, you know, I had scraped my knees. I looked like a fucking 5-year-old. It was ridiculous. It's like I knew I needed to, you know, get in there and like, you know, get a wet paper towel and, you know, get the blood, you know, cleared off and everything. And I hadn't really examined like my phone yet. And Deuster caught me going into the bathroom and everything. And, you know, he was just there for me. And, you know, we sat down on some steps outside because I didn't want to walk in because I knew Scoops was still playing. And I didn't want them to see me like that. I mean, my glasses were scratched. You know, like I said, I had 2 fucking scraped knees like I was a fucking 5-year-old and a scrape on my elbow. I looked ridiculous. And Deuster noticed how badly damaged my phone was. That's kind of what happens when you smash it with your face. And like he ran me, you know, it was the only way I had to like communicate with, you know, like Cade, you know, or Brain or whatever. So we like literally went into a T-Mobile store in downtown Columbus like 10 minutes before they were closing. I'm honestly surprised they didn't kick me out. I got my phone replaced and I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to, you know, get it up, you know, because you can't do the, you know, hold it side by side because, I mean, literally my phone was just toast. But he's, you know, thankfully I had my iPad and he's like, I know how to help you and everything. And, you know, then, you know, where I thought it was just a sprain, you know, by the time I got out of the T-Mobile store, you know, big lump on my wrist. So, you know, he Googled a urgent care or whatever the hell it was up there and, you know, drove me there and, you know, got the bad news that it was broken and everything. But I mean, dude he was, you know, there for me. I mean, in every way, shape, and form. You know, helping me out during that time. And, you know, he's such an intelligent, down-to-earth, compassionate young man. I've had a lot of, I would say if anybody in the Smash scene outside of my son, obviously. But if there's anybody in the Smash scene that knows me better than anybody that I've ever met in the scene, is probably Deuster. Um, I have a fairly close relationship with, Cereza and stuff like that, just over our many years that we've known each other at this point. But, there was just different conversations that I would have with Deuster, and it's not that I think that like anybody would like break, confidence and be like, oh, Scoops, I'm worried about your mom, maybe you should check on her. No, I mean, I check on my kid don't check on me. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with parents check or kids checking in on their parents. It's, I check in on my mom. So um but Deuster probably knows me better than most people in the Smash scene, just based on past conversations that we've had. But it was great when he was part of Dragon Squad as well. And again, I don't know what I would have done without him that year at Cost when I broke my wrist. I really don't, because I was I was so disoriented. It's not like I had a concussion or anything, but I was just like so blown away about what I had done. I'd never broken a bone in my entire life. And this is like, I used to play tackle backyard football, and being the only other girl out there. Sometimes the only girl if, the other one, was off doing something else with a bunch of guys. Still never broke a bone. But, let me walk up some freaking stairs at, COSI and, but anyway. So, yeah, I really appreciate Deuster for everything that, he did for me there. Everything he did, for Dragon Squad. I always knew I couldn't do Dragon Squad completely by myself. Um, and that's why I found the awesome team that I had. Even, they came and they went and whatnot. And, and I think that was a big thing as well, that, it really did just become only me, uh, week in and week out at the weeklies. Unless I was on vacation or something like that. And, Marsha would temporarily step in, running bracket, running the stream, doing this, doing that, basically doing everything. So I think that last like year and 3 months, being the only one, I think that it, wore me down pretty quick. I think if it still would have been like, me and someone else, I might have lasted a little bit longer. I don't know, because again, losing SOS, just, I took it personally. And, so that, that was a huge blow to me. So yeah, I just, it just wouldn't be right if I didn't, mention Timbo and Cadence and Brain and Mindset and Deuster. That at various stages of, me being a TO and Dragon Squad, not shouting them out and thanking them for, believing in me and kind of, going on that crazy ride with me. So thank you all. Thank you all. Honestly. So I think that's kind of everything I wanted to say. I'm still on the fence if I kind of maybe want to personally get into streaming. I mean, I'm not that much of a gamer. I do enjoy streaming because I do like to, interact with an audience and whatnot. I'm not a big winter fan, so I don't go out in the winter that often. So, maybe, I don't know, maybe once a month, I bring back the open arenas. maybe I try and, I mean, there's some games I've never played. I mean, I have them on my Switch. It's like, oh yeah, let's do this. Maybe I do some, like, I don't know, online Mario Party, or I mean, hey, I'm not that good at it, but I do have fun with Fall Guys, and I love my little dude Trident. And only people that have ever tuned in to prior streams know what I mean when I say Trident. If you want to know, and I decide that I'm, going to try and build MOmSA brand, you have to tune into the stream. I mean, I can do Animal Crossing. I don't mind Fortnite. I'm not very good at it, but I don't play it that often. But I have a blast when, we, playing with, I think I've played with Blue Jay, and I think I've done some with Cade, and, people that have popped in old streams and whatnot. So I don't know. I mean, I do enjoy streaming. I just, it'll take a little bit, I think, to get there, because I like all the overlays, all the emotes, so on and so forth. Everything was completely Dragon Squad, so I have to come up with this whole idea of what I want it to look like. And I saw something the other day too about, which kind of got me to thinking, because I've heard of VTubers, and I sort of kind of knew what they were, but I kind of looked into it a little bit more. It's like, maybe that's it. Maybe I don't show myself, and I become some little animated, like, dragon or something, instead. So I don't know. Again, I just know that it won't be done under Dragon Squad, and I do have to, rebrand some stuff, and whatnot. I know y'all are in good hands with Marsh. He's one of the original goats. I cannot tell you how much relief I had that Marsh reached out to me and said, hey, I can take the weeklies back over. I mean, if he wouldn't have, and if somebody else, wanted to step up and do it, I mean, I would have stuck around to train somebody however long it would have taken. But it just made it so much easier when Marsh came and said, hey, I'll take back over the weeklies. Like, hey, I know Cincy's in good hands. It's like, you are one of the original goats, so, that took a lot of, pressure off my hands. So yeah, Cincy, Ohio. That's kind of my little message that I wanted to say to you guys, and I would just kind of dawned on me just to kind of make a video instead, so it could be a little more personal. So thank you for everything, and I'll still be around as long as Scoops continues to compete. I will be around. It's going to be so nice to just go back to being able to watch Scoops. I thought I would still be able to do it when I ran the weeklies, and it just never really worked out that way. Heck, even if they ended up on stream, it's like I still couldn't watch it. I mean, as I was cutting VODs the next day, then I'd sit and like watch their whole set. But it's going to be great to just kind of get back and watch Scoops, watch the rest of the scene, and whatnot. So, I won't be there every week. Old MOmSA's still going to be around. If you need me, you know how to get in touch with me. DM me. I will always be here for you. Yeah. So, thank you, everybody. I love you all. And here's to the next chapter. Love you guys.